Welcome back, McElroy and Cubelic. Good morning, Jox 94.5, 8 a.m. here, top of the hour. I walk downstairs, kids downstairs. I'm like, what are we doing? Why are we not at school? Panic attack. I guess we have a little doctor's appointment. Who knows? I was like, about had a panic attack. I was like, hang on a second. What time is it? It was like an out-of-body experience, but we're good. We're good to go. Everything's fine. Now it's about progressing. Hour number 2, plenty to talk about. First, I want to tell you about the Bill Smith Buick GMC. They have continued to deliver remarkable results to this community and to customers all across the country. They have customers from the West Coast to the East Coast to the Northeast to the Southwest. They have people everywhere. By going to BillSmithBuickGMC.com, you'll understand why. Because the deals are off the charts. Like a 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 SLT, that's $14,500 off the sticker price. You pay in most places $67,000. You get it for $52,300 at Bill Smith Buick. You also can go get a 2026. That's right, you heard that right. A 2026 Buick Encore GX Preferred. $29,300 is the list price. You get it for $5,000 off. You get it for under $25,000. Deals like that keep people coming back. That's why 75% of their business is repeat customers, because you have a better experience when you shop with Bill Smith. Take the short drive to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online, have delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
All right, we'll continue talking games from over the weekend. Get to your feedback. 800-239-9569. You want to get in. 73-0. Alabama gets the win over Louisiana Monroe, and Auburn a winner as well, 42-3 over Ball State. What are your concerns now moving forward? What are things that you're looking for as to you still think need to be improved? What do you feel better about from an Alabama perspective? And I can tell you, Greg, I thought the thing that was the most alarming that we came away from over the weekend was talking to Kane Womack about everything we saw from Florida State. We worked and we knew it was coming. I mean, he's like, I've coached against Gus. I had a great idea of what we were going to get. I had a great idea what we were going to see. And you take that and you start thinking, all right, if there were no surprises, if you knew what was coming and it looked like that, it began to compound a little bit of the concern. But on the flip side of that, it was like you and I talked about last week. Okay, there was a motivation or a mental lapse that it appears as though took place. Can they get past that? And from everybody that we talked to in the facility, it felt like it was known coming in on Sunday what happened, how it went, what the issue was, and there was a fairly large group of guys that kind of stepped up and said, we're not gonna let this continue. Tim Keenum was one of those, as we stated. They were glad to get him back on board. Deontay Lawson was one, took a lot of that on himself as well. They also, they had a guy dinged up in warm-ups in the secondary. That sort of changed the rotation back there just a little bit. Played a couple of others a little bit more than they wanted to. But they had an idea of, all right, this is what needs to happen. This is how it needs to go. And they wanted to repair that. And, I think Parker Brailsford's one of those guys. I think Ty Simpson was one of those guys. And they still have a lot of guys that are stepping up and understanding we got to get this right. We got to handle this. And I thought it said a lot about where the program is, where the team is, where the individuals are, that the coaches didn't have to go out of their way to motivate everybody. And they didn't have to walk around all week kicking people in the rear end, because the players themselves knew it. And they wanted to go out and handle it themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, right? We've talked about it for a long time. I think it's of the highest levels of importance to make sure that this was going to be, and we talked all week long, like everyone wanted to blame the coaches. Everyone wants to blame the players, or everyone wants to blame the coaches. Like, to me, the performance of this weekend was going to exclusively tell you all you need to know about the personality of the team. If they came out, looked a little sloppy, went through the motions, it means that the players are comfortable with just, rising and lowering with the tide. No pun intended. But I feel like in watching them, they left no doubt. Like that, if you watch the firing and how hard they got off the ball on defensive line, man, like I texted you. I was like, you watched the Bama game? You're like, oh, yeah, I was on the call. I was like, oh, okay. I realized that, but I didn't know if you'd rewatched it. And I was just really impressed. Like, I really was. And it has nothing to do with the level of competition. That's what we always talked about with Coach Saban. It's like, it doesn't matter what the level of competition is. Like, your level of performance, your level of intensity should not fluctuate game to game, play to play. Like, you give your best effort on every single play, and the outcome of the game will take care of itself. Like, you can't worry about that. If you have a big lead, fine. If you're behind, fine. You know what I also like, and I know this is not the best example of it because I don't like the, quote, front runner mentality ever. I want to see this team play loose. I want to see this team play free. And I know that this was not a game in which there was ever any doubt with how they started and finished. But I just want to see them loose because I feel like the last 2 years, when things go a little sideways early, panic sets in. And that's not good, right?
No.
And in some cases, even half to half. Like, it starts getting away from a little bit, second half Georgia game, panic sets in. But if you go out first drive and go right down the field and wear them out, like you did against LSU, all right, we're cooking. That's why the Florida State thing was a little bit of a surprise because they started so well offensively. They started horribly defensively, but panic set in a little bit, and you could see them tighten up. So I just want to play loose and play free as they continue to go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say this. Now, you start to wonder just a little bit about some of the guys that are dinged up because you don't have Jameer and Latham in that game. You still don't have Tim Keenum. Obviously, we both think Jam Miller's going to add a lot when he gets back, but I think the running back's fine. I mean, you saw Kevin Riley.
Kevin Riley.
Dude, this is a kid that was floating around in the 180s like all offseason. They've been begging to put some weight on. He finally is starting to be able to get it and get it right. He's just under 195, and they think he's got real juice. They think
he does have
help.
Juice. You just watch him.
Yeah.
I mean, he really, really can go. Like, he's got a little smoothness to him. Trying to think of who he reminds me of. He's got like a little bit of smooth slasher to him. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I don't know how
doubt.
how tall is he? He looks a little tall, but he's got some
5'11".
slasher to him.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, and I think he can be a little bit of a different dynamic. I mean, you got Daniel Hill, who's 750-pound squatter, who's got the Saquon lower body. We know Richard Young can be a hammer. Dre Washington, saw him a little bit in this game, gives you a little bit of both. And then you have Jam Miller, who's going to be coming back. But Danny Lewis is a little nicked up at tight end right now. Their numbers are low there. Ryan Williams obviously didn't play in this game, so you just there's something to kind of keep an eye on. But you now feel pretty confident about Austin Mack. I think you feel great about Keelan Russell. I mean, the one start to leave the pocket, stop, quick release by Russell. I mean, I think that's the play you look at. That's the play you look at and you say, okay, that's the 5-star guy. Like, that's why we're excited. And they raved about Austin Mack. They raved about Keelan Russell. And this is something you and I need to have a conversation about quickly. Because I got a couple text messages during the game and saw a couple people on social media that were not for this. So it was planned going into this. It was planned going into this game, Greg, that Austin Mack was going to get a series in the second half.
Yeah.
Not because of the score, not because whatever happened, Austin Mack was getting a series in the second half. And I'll just lay it out the way they laid it out for us. We were told that this is something that they had done before, and Kalen told me, and then Grubb kind of told us in our meetings, and so we were like, all right, I understand where it's easy to sit there immediately and say, well, something must be wrong with Ty. There must be something there. And they both assured us, listen, Ty's a starter. He won the job. This is nothing to have to do with him. This is nothing that we're going to look at and say, hey, we want to get him out. We want Mac to be the guy. First off, I think it's really cool. And they did this. They've done this before. For people who think that this is just talk, they did this with Geno Vandermark last year. Because I was on the field pregame in Nashville, and Kalen came up to me and said, he goes, hey, just so you know, 56 is going to get some run at right guard. He's like, it's nothing on Roberts. It's just, he's like, Geno's just practicing his tail off. He deserves reps. And that's what they said about Austin Mack. They said, this guy came in with us at Washington, and he was buried. Then he transfers, and he's buried. And he's actually been getting some real reps in fall camp for like the first time ever, maybe spring, but then really in fall camp, and he's getting better. And all he does is work. He keeps his mouth shut. He shows up earlier than anybody else in the building. He was telling us a story about how he had something he had to walk across campus to do early one morning, like sun's not even up. He's walking across the practice field, and he hears something over to the side, and he looks, and it's like Austin Mack going through his warm-ups, like getting ready to go out there and throw. He's the only one out there. And he's like, the kid deserves playing time. He just does. So they were going to give him some. And then they told me, and this is where I think the people who look at this and say, why would you do this? I don't like this. This is dumb. Then they told us that they did it with Jake Haener at Fresno. And I'm like,
good player.
I'm like, okay, I'll call Jake. So I called Jake, and I said, tell me about this deal, because I know what fans are going to think. They're going to think, oh, something's wrong with the starter. And Jake starts laughing. He goes, yeah. He goes, they did it to me. He goes, and it worked. And I said, well, what do you mean it worked? And he said, I won the job. He said, this is his junior year at Fresno State. He said, I win the job. I'm the number one quarterback. And we go out, we play a first game. He goes, I thought I played pretty good. I thought I played well. I felt pretty good about it. He said, then Thursday of game 2, we're walking off the practice field. Grubb's like, hey, let's talk for a second. Pulls me to the side. He goes, Ben Wooldridge was the backup quarterback. He said, Ben's going to get a series in the second quarter. You're still the guy. You're the starter. And he said, Cole, I was pissed. He goes, as mad as I had been as a player under that staff. He goes, but I tell you what, I went out game 2, played like my hair was on fire. He said, I was a little more dialed in, paid a little bit closer attention, played a little bit harder, was a little bit more of a leader, was a little bit more vocal. He goes, so looking at it then, I had no idea. Now, I know exactly what they were doing. They thought there was more in the tank, and they got it out. And I think that's what they saw in Ty is just, hey, there's nothing wrong with what you did. We just think there might be a little more in there. And by the way, we want to have the other kid ready to play if something does happen, and he deserves some playing time. So I just don't think that there's any negative connotation on this whatsoever at all. And that's how they laid it out to us. And there were a couple of people that disagreed with me that were telling me during the broadcast. And I'm just kind of like, that's fine, man. But like, I talked to the coaching staff about it. I talked to a quarterback that they did it to. And even he's sitting there telling me how it worked. And it was a great thing for him. So it's odd that even hearing all that, people are still like, oh, this is high school. Can't do this to your quarterback. And just, okay, man. Like, I can't, there's nothing I can tell you if that's the way you're going to think.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, hey, guess what? It's the transfer portal era. Like, forget your feelings. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. Like, there's no room for feelings anymore. Like, you don't like it, so be it. Look, I'll just say this. As a kid that in high school played one season of high school varsity football as a starting quarterback, you know who played every third series of the game and every third series in the first, 10 games of the season? My backup. Riley Dodge. Why? Because, God forbid, if something happened to me, they had to get him going. And I was so mad. He was a sophomore. I was a senior. I waited my whole career. I didn't get to play every third series for Chase.
Right.
Like, why? Because I was a junior and then played some. Like, they didn't need to get me like real live game reps. Like, and I've had 35 scholarship offers, and I'm sitting there rotating with a sophomore in the third series of every game. Like, it really made me mad. Guess what? It made me better. And it gave them a little different look because Riley's pretty mobile, like really good runner. So like, it was great. And Riley's now the head coach of Southlake. Like, it's awesome. Like, we got a great relationship. It was great for me, great for him. It was great for the long-term prognosis of the team. It was awesome. So like, I don't have a problem with it. Like, and that's coming from a guy that had a lot of scholarship opportunities, going to Division I, and is rotating, and waited his turn and is rotating. Like, guess what? If it's good for the team, I'm supportive of it. Not saying I have to like it, but I'm supportive of it. I get it. And in an era in which how many teams had to rely on backup quarterbacks last year? How many teams had to play multiple guys because the first guy got dinged, as the quarterback mobility thing continues to be, and quarterback run continues to be like a big part of what offenses are, and how offensive lines, frankly, as we've learned all throughout the first 2 weeks of the season, a lot of teams can't protect right now. Like, a lot of teams struggling with protection, a lot of quarterbacks taking a lot of hits. Like, I don't know. is it the worst thing in the world to make sure that your backup has actually had some like real meaningful reps? Like, I think it's a good thing. I guess I don't know. I could care if you are bothered, if you're that bothered to where your confidence can be shook because your backup's getting a couple reps. Like, I don't want you as my guy anyways. And I don't think that's the case with Ty at all. I think he'll be just fine.
No, and we asked him about it because we knew it was going to take place and we knew that he knew. And he's like, listen, you come to Alabama to be challenged. He said that's what it's been. So Walker Carroll, by the way.
Nobody freaks out when they play the backup corner. Nobody freaks out when they play the backup right guard like you just talked about. Nobody freaks out when they rotate other positions, but nope, the quarterback, that poor guy, fragile mentally. Like, get out of here. Come on, man. Like, it's fine. It's good. It's good to get Austin reps. And guess what? It's especially good to see him play well. Like, I think Austin's going to be a pretty good player. I like him long term. I really do. I think Ty's a better option right now, but I like Austin back.
You talk about presence in the pocket and ability to push the ball down the field. Like, that young man's got it. Like Walker Hayes tweeting, and he said, what about Michael Carroll going in at right tackle? Was that because of bad play from 75? I think it's a little bit of both. I think Michael Carroll surprised them coming in, has showed them the ability to be ready. And
is he the freshman?
He is, a right tackle, 64.
Yeah.
And, it sounds to me like if you go in there with this staff and continue to get better and you practice well and you show improvement in practice, they're going to give you a chance. They're going to find a chance for you because they've done it for multiple guys. It's like the Latsier Brooks. Like, yes, Ryan Williams was out, and that gave him a chance, but Grubb and DeBoer both told us, like, Cole, this guy was going to start playing anyway. Like, Greg, this kid, Ballou told me that he's hit 23 plus multiple times on the GPS. And I don't know if y'all know at home what that is, but like over 23 is almost unheard of.
Cooking.
And this dude's got elite acceleration, like big time. So if you still want to move Ryan Williams around, and now you got 17 that can sort of live in the slot, that's just going to give you more advantages. And also, by the way, everything that we thought, everything that we see about Jeremy Bernard is 100% accurate. Like, he's that guy. He's that guy. Like, and I'll tell you this, Greg, we're at practice Friday, and I was standing with a member of the strength staff, and I'm like, who is this dude running routes over here? Like, why is he running routes? And he's like, that's Bernard. And I was like, is he 225?
He's big boy. He's freaking put together.
I mean,
that dude's going to play a long time in the NFL.
He looks like a running back.
You know who he reminds me of a little bit?
Anquan Bolden.
Like, yes. He's got some Anquan vibes, doesn't he? Like, he's just a baller.
And I'm just going to say, like, that's almost like comping a guy to Hines Ward. Like, I hate making that comp because I think they're both like one of one. Like, Anquan Bolden's one of my favorite football players to ever watch play. Ever. At any position, I just don't care. Like, he's just the ultimate freaking dude ever, all time. But you're right. He's got that guy in him. Like, I'm telling you, when you see him without pads, you do not think he's a wide receiver.
No.
He does not have wide receiver stature. Like, he looks like a running back, a taller running back. And you're like, he looks like Eddie George running around. You're like, geez, dude, but he can move. But yeah,
let me ask
captain
you,
role,
this.
like leadership, everything, they all vocalize that he has been beyond awesome in that building.
Well, it seems that way. And I know they swear by him, been swearing by him for 3 years. Like, I remember 2 years ago, we're doing the dang semifinal game when he was at Washington. And we're like, tell us a little more about McClellan. Tell us a little more about, they had the unbelievable X. Odunze, they're like, hey, I'll tell you what you need to know about is this guy Jeremy. Like, this guy's young, like he's still figuring it out, but man, in time, the dude's going to be a dude, and he's clearly become that. And Ryan Williams being out, it was great. Not that Ryan Williams is out, obviously we want to get him back, but it was great to see the other guys get that opportunity. I'll tell you another guy that stepped up here in the last 2 weeks on tape, and I don't care necessarily about the stat line. I don't care about the targets, receptions, all that stuff. Number 11, Rico Scott. That dude will get after you now. Like, even against Florida State, you watch him throw a couple cats out of the club blocking.
Yep. Yeah, he likes to block.
That's going to give you to me, those reps, I care about those reps. I can watch any receiver's going to look great catching a lot of passes. Guess what? Like, I'm going to be real happy. But you know what we had at Bama who didn't catch a million passes but was a freaking war daddy? Was Marquise Mays, one of my favorite teammates of all time. Just one of the. Then obviously Julio gets all the credit, and Hanks was fantastic in the slot. Mays was a bona fide war daddy, and you want to go at 5'9", 185 pounds, go in there and knock a safety's block off. Like, I need a guy like that at wide receiver, a tone setter. I think they have a couple, so I'm pretty encouraged by that group and where it could go as some of the young guys get a little more comfortable.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. So, I mean, you think too, Greg, this offense, if Riley gets going a little bit more, Jam Miller comes back, they're both going to have real speed on the field at running back. Brooks and Scott have both hit 23 miles an hour. And then Ryan Williams is back on the field as well. You're going to have some real playmaking ability out there. Now, the bad, if we're going to take it here, specifically on offense, you still got some things in pass pro you got to clean up. There's still a couple of passing off games, pressures. Like some of that still needs a little bit of work. And Grubb was very upfront with us about Proctor and how since the season has begun that he's shown some improvement. But he's got to get like fastball, changeup, and that's it. Like, we don't need 7 pitches in our arsenal. Like, quit trying to be all creative and do these new. And I've seen it all over the place. Everybody wants to have like a quick set, a stab set, one arm, one punch set, whatever. Like, the tackles are trying to set guys up, and it's like, guys, it doesn't work that way. You're being set up. You have to react to what they're doing. You can't make a D lineman rush you a certain way. They don't think that way. They're not that smart. All right, just set him, react to where he's going, get him blocked. That's it. It's not hard. But I think he's out thinking himself on some of this stuff right now, and that'll continue to come. So, all right, we got to talk a little bit about some other SEC games. Before we do that, I want to tell you about Game Day Men's Health. If you're feeling on edge, if you're lacking sleep, don't have energy, Game Day Men's Health wants to help you, and they can do it in a very simple way. Open in Trustville now, by the way. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Sign up for the free consultation. When you do that, you're going to get the free PSA test, free testosterone test, and they're going to give you the results of where you are from a baseline health perspective, then present the options that they have. Weight loss, testosterone replacement. They've got the peptides in stock, a lot of different ways that they can help you. Locker room environment, holistic approach to health and wellness, minimal upfront cost from the programs that they offer. Book your free consultation today at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Again, open in Trustville. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. All right, Dave Neal was on call for the Florida game. What happened? What did the coaches think going into that game? We'll hear from him next, right here on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Going to get to Dave Neal here in just a moment. Discuss Florida. How, why, when, where, who, what, all of it. First, I'll tell you about Gusty Goulas and the Gusty Goulas Group. If you need to get into a new home today, the Gusty Goulas Group can help. Serve more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area, so they know what real estate options are coming available. They know what's out there. They know what the prices should be. If you want to know what they think your home's worth, button at the top of the page of GustyGoulsGroup.com. You smash that button right now, and they're going to let you know what they think they can get for your home with very little information. Since 2012, Gusty Goulas Group recognized both nationally and locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. Over 850 five-star Google reviews. So Google it today, Gusty Goulas Group. Or better yet, go to GustyGoulsGroup.com, call 205-542-1996, and start packing. All right, Dave Neal joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. Dave, what was the vibe, the feel from the Florida coaches when you got to visit with them heading into this game against South Florida?
First of all, hey, good morning, guys. It was very positive and energetic and confident. And you know, one of the things that stuck out to me talking to that staff and even DJ Lagway, we talked to Tyreek Sapp, their outstanding defensive lineman as well. I mean, they all had the same energy that was, hey, man, we've won 5 in a row. We finished well. And all of them said our roster is different. We have NFL-type guys at every level on this team. So and it's first time under Napier that you could really say that. They were, didn't have this kind of talent, didn't have this kind of depth. And I walk out of there too. I'm feeling like, hey, man, South Florida had a good win, but this is a whole nother operation they're about to run into. And I tell you, man, it just never got in sync. It wasn't because there was like a lack of energy in the building. It was sold out 88,000. They were hopping, ready to go. I mean, it was lively atmosphere. And Florida never got it going, man. You just kept waiting. You go, okay, this drive. This drive. So this is the one. This is the one. Well, this is the one never happened. And you get to the fourth quarter and you're like, uh-oh. And you just kind of felt South Florida had all the momentum. And you just kept waiting. By the way, you kept waiting for them to kind of collapse in the heat. I'm telling you, it was a nasty day of weather. And you just kind of, in terms of hot, the humidity was awful. It was just one of those days. You're like, can South Florida hang with these guys for 4 quarters? And I kept waiting for it to kind of go south for them. It never did.
It was also, even on the last drive, though, like it never felt like South Florida was going to be able to get down there without the assistance of obviously 2 big penalties and some horrendous tackling. On the screen pass of the right-hand side. It was just one of those weird ones where it just felt like Florida was going to be all right, they'll survive, nothing to see here. And then they make a couple of just mistakes that are just almost impossible to wrap your head around. So, how do you kind of quantify some of the mistakes made down the stretch and the lack of discipline down the stretch?
Well, at halftime, going into the locker room during that interview, one of the things Billy Napier said, hey, man, we're not playing very clean. We got to clean this up. We got to be better. So I know that they approached, hey, guys, we've got to stick to our fundamentals. We got to do this thing the right way. Listen, this spitting thing that happened, seriously, I mean, it is – I don't know what's going on. Like, what are we doing, people? But when Brendan Bett, who's a guy who's been around, he came from Baylor. Ron Roberts recruited him out of high school, the Florida defensive coordinator. When he had an opportunity to get him, he was like, I'm going to go get this guy. And we spoke about him at length. Like how much the team likes him and all this kind of stuff, the value he adds. He's not a depth guy, but a guy that can get you a lot of snaps. But to do something like that in that moment, in that situation, it cost them the game. I mean, there's a lot of things that go in there, but at that moment, that was a deciding play for me in the game. We can talk about those missed tackles on the sideline that allowed them to pick up, I forget, whatever that was, 40 yards down the line and flip the field immediately. That was a huge play too. But I'm just like, I think most of fans in the stadium were like, what in the world is he doing? And the official is like touching his shoulder, telling him to get away from the South Florida guy. So the official's like right between the 2 players. And it's like, I'm getting frustrated talking to him. I'm like, what are you doing? But yes, there were other things going on too. I thought DJ Lagway, Greg, very uncomfortable. One of the things he talked to us about was trying to clean it up in the pocket. His footwork wasn't very good. I get that he didn't have a whole lot of practice time because of calf injuries, some shoulder stuff in the summer. but it did not look anything like what it looked like at the end of last year. I don't know what the problem is in that regard. I was shocked at how uncomfortable he looked. Go ahead.
It looked like, and Dave, for example, like the throw down the left-hand side late, like that's a low percentage throw. But like this guy's a top 10 pick potential. Like you don't miss that throw. The guy's got to step, like you got to drop it in the bucket. Like it seemed very evident to me that he was a guy that missed spring. Seemed very evident to me like he was a guy that did not get a ridiculous amount of reps. Like they're just a little bit off. And it doesn't mean they can't get there, but to me in that game more than any, it really reeked of a team that needs more reps and time. Did you sense that with the passing game?
No question about it. Matter of fact, his interception over the middle, I thought wasn't a horrible. He had one-on-one coverage. I thought it was a good, safe throw. He just overthrew the guy by 6 inches, and it was a good play. Great play by Chenault to South Florida to come up with that interception. But that's a pass that he should make. That's a pass he did make last year. And that's to your point, I think that's just one of those things that they got to like clean that up a little bit. And Greg, the other part of this is, they've given up 18 tackles for loss on an offensive line that returned four guys. Yeah. And you got a youngster playing right tackle who got whipped in week one pretty good. They gave up 11 TFLs against Long Island, and 4 of them came from that right tackle spot. But they gave up 7 more tackles for loss. They weren't the best offensive line with the push up front. And South Florida was able to handle it. They could rush 4 and drop 7, which made the pass game more difficult. And Florida couldn't run in those situations as well as I thought they should have. To me, that's as big a concern as anything is what are we going to do up front to clean this up? Look, man, it gets brutal for Florida from here on out. This one is a tough one for them when you start looking at what they have in front of them. It's a tough road for them now.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt when you look ahead with what's going to be next going to LSU, and then after that for Florida. I'm just curious as to the offensive line discussions, the TFL discussions going into the game. I mean, there had to be some concerns as to how you were going to manage. And some of this, too, is like the end-around stuff, the reverses. I know you got to have that in. It's got to be part of what you do. And I feel like that's played just as big a part. And maybe DJ trying to do some things is just because it doesn't feel like there's a ton of handed to the running back, tackled 4 yards in the backfield. Was there any discussion along the lines of negating those things?
Yes, I brought it up, and you always got to be in these coaches meetings. You want to be kind of careful how you phrase things, but I mean it's hard not to look at the game the first week, and you're playing Long Island, folks. You're playing the Sharks from Long Island, and you give up 11 TFLs, and 4 of them came off that right edge. And so I was, I asked Russ Callaway, their offensive coordinator, about it, and he said, "Hey man, we're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets. We're going to help him out as much as we can. They've got some really good rush ins. They got this guy Jox Live who played at Texas A&M sparingly last year, but a guy that played at UCF, transferred back to South Florida, who's a good player." And, we were like, hey, we got to help them. And they did. They really did load up. They played a bunch of 2 tight end sets, more than I thought they would. It obviously clearly was an issue for them. But when you got a guy like Jaden Ball, who is 6'1", 235 pounds, and you're trying to run the clock out and you throw on first down, that to me, and I don't know, I really don't know if that was a check by DJ Lagway to start that last drive with a little over 2 minutes to go in the game, and he throws on first down, incomplete. I don't know if that was a check off some kind of run play, something he saw. I don't know, but he can't check there, man. You got to run the ball. If our O-line has a couple potential All-Americans in Barber and Slaughter, I'm running the football, taking my chances with that, and it didn't happen. And you could hear people mumbling walking out of the stadium. What are we doing? What was that all about? That particular sequence. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm shocked at what I saw at the offensive line, probably more than anything else.
Looking at and I don't want to get too far off Florida. I have them this week. I think they'll play well this week. You know what I mean? Like, I think they'll respond well. I mean, I think they match up pretty good against LSU, and I thought LSU was a little sluggish this past weekend, but we can talk about them a little later. But I think we're kind of missing the boat on how impressive South Florida is and how good the coverage was and how good they were up front. And I'm not trying to deviate attention off Billy Napier, but just your impressions of South Florida through 2 weeks and how you've seen them and how do you think they kind of stack up with what we saw there in game number 2?
Here's what, after watching game 1 on tape and then seeing them in person, here's what I say. They have the athletes. They have, maybe not across the board, but they have SEC type athletes. The transfer portal has really helped them out a great deal. They've been able to pluck some really outstanding players. And I don't know if they slip through the ropes, whatever, or their NIL is really good or whatever, but they've got some guys that can really play over there. But two things that really jump out at me is they play fast, like some teams in this conference do, maybe not all the time, but obviously good enough to play with Florida. And they are physical. They have two of the better linebackers. I don't know how much tape you've watched or got to see, but this guy, Mac Harris and Jalen Schuler, these two linebackers, they were really good about Boise. So against Boise 10 days ago, whatever it was, 2 weeks ago, and watching them last week against Florida, they were every bit what I was hoping they would be. They were legit. And listen, they're good up front too, man. I mean, when you can rush 4 and kind of sit on that as your base all game and not have to bring 5, 6 guys to get some pressure back there, it changes the whole dynamic, and that really worked out well for them. And their quarterback, boys, I knew in 2023 he had a really, really good season. And seeing him in person, I don't know what's happened to the quarterback position, but this is not your Greg McElroy's. I mean, 6'3", 232 that will run you over. Come on, Greg. How many guys did you run over?
Well, I was 6'2.5", 230. Could run you over on the way to the bar and on the way to to get a burger, but I'm not sure I'm going to run you over on the football field.
I mean, this guy. I'm just telling you that he was as impressive. He was calm. He may not be the best passer of the football, from a technique standpoint, but it works for him. And the run game is just phenomenal. But I'm with you. This is a team that has to be, I don't care what happens next week at Miami. They've got a chance to win the American. You pick up a win like this on the road at Florida. They've got to be. I will be shocked if we get to November and they're still not in the conversation as a group of 5 college football playoff contender. They're really good. And Alex Golish says all the right things about being happy and loves his job and all this kind of stuff. But I promise you right now, there are ADs all over the country putting his name on their little piece of paper in their desk when a job comes open. He's an impressive guy. And I know we've had a chance to talk to him when he was at Tennessee. You probably talked to him. You guys have all probably talked to him. And, man, he is passionate about this game, passionate about his kids, and really knows what he's doing, man. I enjoyed watching his team play.
I don't think there's any doubt. He's been a guy that we've had on the show and we've talked a bunch about. So what do you think is easiest for Billy Napier and company to correct moving forward, based on what you saw, what you talked to him about, and how this team operated?
Well, I think you got to figure out how to protect and block for the run game. First of all, I think you got to figure that part out. Maybe it's changing up some bodies over there, switching somebody over to that right side. And the second thing is you can't have 11 penalties for over 100 yards. You can't. Yeah. You just cannot. That's inexcusable to me. Jumping off sides. Now, I will say this. There was a touchdown on one drive. They called a pass interference on a tight end in the end zone on it. They said he was blocking downfield or something, and I'm still trying to figure that out. So there were a couple of things that happened that weren't necessarily Florida's fault. But for the most part, it was just clean up your game. Clean it up. Give yourself a fighting chance. I hope, that first of all, I love Billy Napier. Gator fans are killing him. Just destroying him, chanting "Fire Billy!" Billy when we were walking out of the stadium. Loud. I hope he can turn around because I root for the good guys in the world, and I feel like he's one of those guys. So I hope he can figure it out. But I think, to me, if you can't get this offensive line thing situated where you can't run the ball with 2 really good running backs, you're going to have a really tough time moving forward in this league. So they got to clean it up on the offensive line and fix this penalty stuff.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Dave. Great stuff. Great call. Thanks for hopping on with us, and we'll do it again soon.
Always a pleasure, boys. You guys have a great week.
Yes, sir. Same to you. There you go. Dave Neal on the call for the Florida-South Florida game. They ran 31 times, 133 yards, Greg. And the odd part is you give one ball to Eugene Wilson. He takes it for 9 yards. Jaden Baugh, 18 for 93. I thought he ran well. I thought Jacoby Jackson ran the ball well. 6 for 22. But he's making people miss at the line or behind the line of scrimmage and then picking up a few yards. There were 2 runs that Jaden Baugh had that easily could have gone for bigger gains. Shoestring tackles at the line of scrimmage. I thought South Florida tackled really well. So like I told you before, there are a couple of play calls that appear to be cute. I can understand why you're trying to keep people home. You're trying to set some different things up. Felt like they were unnecessary. You get down in the red zone, you run the reverse, and yeah, like Wilson takes it for 9 yards, but I'm just sitting there thinking, well, why? Why now?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. And I will say, you tell me how you feel. It felt better than 31 for 133 when I watched it, the way that we watch them. I didn't watch the whole, tone of the game, how the game was going, who had, momentum at different times. I didn't watch it. We didn't watch it that way, but it felt like the run game was better than it was.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just one of those odd games, man. Like it's weird. And I think this one, you point to the self-inflicted wounds, and you point to the fact that South Florida didn't make a ton of mistakes. Like they didn't really give you much.
No. I think that a lot of it was South Florida's solid. We know that. Okay, so let's make sure we give some credit where credit is due.
Yes.
But no team is capable of overcoming the mistakes that Florida made. None. Like, it doesn't matter how talented you are, how big the gap might be, all this stuff. Like they made critical errors, and they cannot. Nobody can withstand making errors like that. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. You have got to be able to avoid going backwards, staying on schedule, giving freebies, giving cheap ones. Like you can't do it anymore. Like the margins are too thin, and you start getting overly penalized. You start making big mistakes. You start allowing them to extend drives because you don't fit a gap the right way. You don't wrap up in the backfield when you feel like you have the quarterback dead to rights. Like you just can't give teams new lease on life. They had no business losing that game. There's no doubt they had no business losing that game. They should have won it. They should have done what they needed to do, and they didn't. They gave up too many freebies, and you can't live that way. You just can't.
Absolutely. All right, before we go to break, tell our listeners about Crocker Moving Services.
Well, they're a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. You can trust them in your home. Whether you need your whole home packed up and move, your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room, they got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your homes, or call visit them online today for a free quote. The website's CrockerMovingService.com. It's CrockerMovingService.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Service for your next move.
All right, when we come back, we'll continue talking some SEC games from over the weekend. Can Florida bounce back here? We'll get to your feedback, 800-239-9569. Tweet in at Mac and Cube on Alabama's win, Auburn's win, and more next right here on Jox. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 800-239-9569. 800-239-WJOX. You want to get in. Watch live on YouTube as well. You can always find us there live each and every morning. Search Jox 945 on YouTube. You can tune in that way. A lot of teams showed that they may be in contention for a national championship over the weekend because of how they performed. They're chasing that ring. If you're chasing a different ring, Greg, where do you need to go?
You need to go to Bromberg's. They do such a great job. Always grateful to the experience I have when I walk in the door. Bromberg's is first class in every single thing they do. You go and check them out. You'll see what I'm talking about. Off the charts from an inventory standpoint, off the charts from a selection standpoint. The sales staff is so knowledgeable, so helpful. Always greatly appreciate what you get when you go and check out Bromberg's. So go and see them in Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit. The Mountain Brook Village store is undergoing renovations right now to make things nicer for you, make your experience better. Go and check them out. You're going to absolutely love the experience you have at Bromberg's. I've been going there for years. You guys will as well. So go and see them. It's Bromberg's, Mountain Brook Village and the Summit. You can also check them out at brombergs.com.
Let's go to Deacon in Tuscaloosa. Wants to chime in on the show. Welcome in, Deacon.
What's going on, fellas? How we doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing good. I'm a lifelong Tide fan. Felt a lot better this weekend. Love seeing Austin and Keelan get in the game. And besides that, just a lot of players got some experience on the field. Louisiana Monroe, they're not a Power 5, Power 4 now team, but they are a Group of 5 team. They're not a walkover. Got to say, I was kind of nervous thinking back to 07, but the games that surprised me, I was amazed at the line on the Florida-South Florida game. I didn't think there was any way it should have been 17.5. I didn't think Florida would lose the game, but I just want to ask y'all, in the conference, the Mississippi State-Arizona State game, I don't understand how the number 12 team in the country with 30 seconds left lets a wide receiver get completely behind the DBs. But the most shocking score to y'all in the entire SEC, what was the most shocking final score? I want to see if y'all match me.
The most shocking final score in the SEC from over the weekend?
Vandy beating Virginia Tech by 24.
Well, and the main reason I may agree with that one, because wasn't that game tied like in the third quarter?
They were down 10 at one point.
They were down? Yeah, I mean, that one was a little bit surprising. Yeah, I'd probably go with that one with Greg, honestly, 44-20. Okay, so we're not going to get his. Got it. Okay.
Dang it.
Back with more right after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Going to continue taking your calls, getting your feedback on your thoughts on games from over the weekend. Don't forget about your CBD store. They are open right now, by the way. Trimmed by Sunmed. If you're looking to lose a little bit of weight, they got that on the shelves at the largest brick-and-mortar CBD retailer in the world. First company to have USDA-certified organic oil supplements. They've got the stamp seal on those products. So you can go in today, get products to help you or your pet with arthritis or anxiety, gut health, skin care. They've got them all there at your CBD store, and they have 3 locations to help you out. Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cage in Cleveland, Trussville just off 459. If it's just taking the edge off in the evenings, if it's arthritis to get you through your day, whatever it is that you need help with for your daily routine, your CBD store can help. Stop by and tell them today you heard about them on Mac and Cube in the morning. Final answer on that surprising box score from the SEC, Greg, would that be Vanderbilt for you?
Yeah, I think it's Vandy for sure.
I'd probably go Vandy just because, like, where it was, like we said, in the middle of the game. And then they're able to bounce. I mean, a lot of SEC teams had nice comebacks over the weekend. Florida couldn't find a way to get theirs done in the end, but a couple of nice comebacks in the SEC.
A little underwhelmed by what I saw from Georgia. I think Georgia's got things to clean up now. Like, their passing game is stagnant. Like, it's all short hitches, bubbles.
A lot of screens.
Screens. Like, there's not a lot there. And when they drop back, it's not great protection. Like, Georgia's got some things to iron out. Doesn't mean they can't. Just means this is going to be a whole level up in competition. Hey, we probably haven't seen anything from them either, right? I'm sure there's more in the tank. There's more creativity in the tank. I'm sure they have all those things. But very underwhelmed with what I've seen from Georgia through 2 weeks. I look at I'm trying to think. Like LSU, I thought it was a real sluggish performance. I think the defense is fantastic. A couple drops by the wideouts. A bad throw early from Nussmeier that led to a pick. Like I think they got some things to clean up offensively. Like a lot of offenses right now seem like they are not where they need to be here if they're going to go and contend for a championship. Because you see teams like Oregon, you see teams like Ohio State, man, they got some firepower. So you better be able to score when you get there. And right now there's a couple teams I'm not so confident in.
Hey, just on Georgia, do you think that there's a possibility of a lot of this just trying to set some things up when they get to, say, this weekend? I agree with you that the downfield passing game does not look great. But it feels like some of the quick game, some of the screen game, there's some other things that you're wanting people to see and maybe focus on, trying to set up things down the road.
Maybe that's all they have right now is a screen game, short game.
It's fair. All right. Back with Tyler Watts next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Hour number 3 underway. 9 a.m. where you are, 10 a.m. where I am. Charlotte, North Carolina, getting ready for Read and React with Roman Harper tonight on the SEC Network. Still have a lot more to get to, as this hour we'll talk to Tyler Watts and Jason Campbell on call for Auburn and Alabama games over the weekend. Tyler joins us every week at this hour. And Tyler, I want to start with this. The decision by the coaching staff to give Austin Mack a series in the second quarter. It was predetermined. Did not matter how the game was going. They love how Austin's been practicing. They love how he's been improving. Feel like he deserves some time. And they want to continue to push competition. And felt like maybe just a little bit more out of Ty that they could get and want to continue to keep him pushing himself. What did you think about it as a former Alabama quarterback being handled the way that it was?
I didn't have a problem with it. I know some folks did because they were like, it's all about building the confidence of Ty Simpson. But I kind of go back to exactly what you had talked. There's sometimes you're concerned that there's guys that are sitting around thinking, well, I don't really have to go 100% every single play because who are you going to put in? You know, where's competition? I'm not in fear of losing my job. So staying hungry is always the most important thing. I don't have a problem with it at all. And I thought that he went in and had good command of the offense. I think he started off 3 for 3 before he had an incomplete pass and went right down the field. So, and this is definitely the type of team that and competition that you wanted to be able to do that with. But I think it also speaks volumes of what Ty was able to do. He knew that going in as well. And how did he react? He didn't sulk. He went out there and took his team, 4 for 4 scoring drives right down the field, looked incredible. Really had command of what was going on and kind of took it up another notch.
Well, I look at it and it doesn't bother me. Like, I just remember vividly, I think it was my second year. It was against San Jose State. We weren't playing anybody of significance. And I think AJ, who was the backup, went in like the third or fourth series. And the game was still at that point in doubt. Like, I had won a national championship as a starting quarterback the year before, so like I wasn't concerned about anything. Like, I don't think it's an uncommon practice. I don't know why everybody is making such a big deal out of it. Like, literally, I did it. Several others have done it. It's not new. AJ, I'm looking back at the box score right now. He played 2 possessions early in the second quarter when it was at that time 21-3. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, why are people making a big deal out of this when it's been done by the GOAT, Nick Saban, several times throughout his career?
I don't have a clue. Listen, we were talking in the pregame, though, man, about I think I just got done talking here just a second ago. We were talking in the pregame. Every single year we would take calls in postgame radio after a loss or something saying, well, I think it's just time for Coach Saban to move on. He's lost it. He doesn't know what he's doing anymore. So, look, people are going to complain. They got nothing better to do but sit around second guess every decision that's made, thinking that they can do it better. It is what it is. So, you're no different than I was, though, and any other player. If it's communicated up front, you know exactly what's to be expected. It's all good. It's when the unknown decision is made and you're like, kind of feel blindsided. That's when you start losing confidence.
What other of the young faces or newer faces that you got to see excited you the most moving forward, Tyler? Because there are a lot of guys that got to play. Some were going to get in there earlier than others due to the coach staff wanting to see them, like we mentioned with Austin Mack. But got a lot of guys late. Anybody stick out to you that you say, all right, I'm pretty pumped about what this guy might be able to do for this team for the rest of this season?
On the defensive side, I thought London Simmons. I think that he has a lot of upside. I like the big body interior. I thought that he played well, especially getting more snaps than what he did last week versus Florida State. When Beeman got injured, he was kind of called upon, and I thought he did a nice job inside. Another guy, Edric Hill, we've called his name a couple of times, and now he's getting more and more reps on that defensive front. I like a couple of things that he does. He plays hard. And then offensively, y'all kind of hit some of these this morning, but you have to like Latsier Brooks. I think that he's an explosive guy, that they found ways to get him the football a lot early on. It was high percentage stuff around the line of scrimmage, but what he's able to do after the catch was pretty impressive. And then Rico Scott continues to impress me as well. I think he's really stepped into that role and is pushing some of the older guys. And I think that, honestly, their play is going to make Ryan Williams hopefully play better as well. So I think it elevates when you have that good competition across the front.
Totally agree with all of that. What do you make of kind of the defensive front? And I thought they were terrific in the game. And I think that's a tough offense to play against. I think they do a lot of the things that have given Bama fits in the past. It's not that uncommon to struggle with misdirection and sweeps and jet sweeps married up with off tackle zone, like stuff like that, I think is really tricky. So I don't know how you kind of see it, but I thought the defense might have been more impressive than anything in this game. I don't know how you feel about it.
Well, their biggest thing was they just wanted to play with more energy and more enthusiasm and just more passion, quite honestly. And I thought that they did that. James Smith had an outstanding game. I mean, we got to give throw a little bit of salt on it from the standpoint. Schematically, yes, some things were a bit of a challenge. They tried to incorporate some things that Florida State did the week prior. They just didn't have the personnel to do it. They were completely outmatched. But it's kind of like you talk to any coach. Yeah, even when you're playing somebody that's not as good, you're still kind of gauging yourself against yourself. And did you dominate your opponent? And the answer was yes. Across the front, they absolutely dominated for all 4 quarters, and there was really no letdown. The intensity remained the same, and I think that's the biggest thing that you were hoping to see, and you saw it.
Is there anything that you saw a little bit different from Ty, just demeanor, or like I thought he was pretty decisive early on. You could tell Grubb kind of. I felt like I'm not going to act like I played quarterback, but it felt like it was some read plays early where it was, hey, you get this look, hand it off. If not, you get it out to the perimeter quickly, spit that thing out there, let him go. Like let's get this thing moving. But he felt maybe a little more decisive than he did week 1, and even with running the football, just kind of, hey, tuck it, go, get out of there. What stuck out about Ty's game to you, maybe week 2 as opposed to week 1?
Well, I kind of think that he's kind of taken that leadership role on the offensive side, which is what you're hoping that he would do. He kind of owned last week, felt like he grew from it, and went out there, I think, on the opening drive, had 3 passes. The rest of it were run, but all the passes were at the line of scrimmage or 5 yards or so down the field, high percentage stuff, but get that confidence going. They didn't really ask him to sit back and throw the ball deep downfield. They allowed that to come to him. But, man, he was spot on. But every quarterback wants to get a couple of completions under their belt. And there is no doubt he was trusting what he was seeing, and he was going with it. He wasn't trying to verify what he was seeing. He was just making a decision, letting it rip. And that is as good. It's kind of more reminiscent of what I've seen him throw the ball in practice. It's just, he's got an arm, man. I mean, there's one particular time where he rolled out to the left, bought himself a couple of seconds, and threw the ball about 50 or so yards, rolling to his left to Jeremy Bernard. I think it got called back for pass, the most erroneous pass interference I've ever seen called on a wide receiver when the defensive back just kind of fell over. But the guy's got the talent, man, and you can tell he has a good grasp of this offense. And if he just trusts what he sees and lets it rip, he's going to make a mistake every once in a while, but he's going to make a whole lot of plays.
I think he's a guy that will just get better as the year goes along. Like, I really do. I just think he's a guy that maybe confidence is something that was fleeting at times, but it's in there. Like, I am real optimistic about what we've seen from him. He's been everything I could have possibly wanted him to be through the first 2 weeks, and albeit in week 1, disappointing outcome. But I don't think he would be one that I would place blame on. I mean, that dude battled through difficult situation and gave him a chance. What do you make of the run game with the addition now of Kevin Riley and what kind of burst he might be able to give him?
We were really high on him after week 1 when he came in and what he was able to do, and it was rewarded. He gets the nod to start the game off, and he picked up right where he left off. I mean, this guy's got a lot of talent, runs the ball hard, he's quick in the hole. And when we get Jam Miller back, that's going to be a heck of a 1-2 punch. I really think that he's kind of separated himself as that next back and has done some really nice things. So hopefully that's something you can continue to build on. But I loved how Alabama in this previous game, I mean, they were inside, outside. They ran counters. They tested every facet of this defensive front for La Monroe, and they had success all the way around. I loved how creative they were with getting Jeremy Bernard the ball, especially early on. You got to reward your players who are playing hard and making plays for you and find ways to allow them to continue to be productive. And I loved all the misdirection and things that we're doing, but the ball was still getting out of Ty Simpson's hands quickly. But man, when you can solidify that run game, that's going to be extremely important.
We were talking about Lost Year Brooks earlier. What do you think he can add? I mean, real juice, 23 miles an hour multiple times. And he can kind of live in that slot and be your quick game guy, your screen guy that can create some explosives with high percentage throws, maybe allow Ryan Williams to do even more in different places. What did you think after seeing him Saturday night, what he may be able to help change this offense in the future with?
Well, two things. Obviously, he's really good in space, and they can be creative on how they get the ball. But he also went up and high-pointed a ball or two down the field and made a couple of contested catches. But I also love what he's doing when the ball's not in his hand. And that's that selflessness we always talk about, is some of these guys' ability to go down and block for one another, block for the running backs, be involved in the running blocking schemes. I think that's important. Those are the dudes I want out there on the field, the ones that are giving it everything, every single play, whether their number's called or not. And he seems to have kind of stepped into that role, hopefully. And watching Jeremy Bernard, that's the example that you're trying to emulate. And I think he's kind of really being rewarded once again for the effort that he gives, not only when the ball's thrown to him, but when it's not.
Finally, as you kind of see where things are, I know you haven't had a chance to watch, and you probably haven't had much of an opportunity to survey the landscape. But I'll fill you in briefly. LSU, pretty underwhelming offensively. And that's through 2 games now where I don't feel like the offense has been crazy dynamic. You look at Georgia, very underwhelming offensively. Like, a lot of teams still very much a work in progress. So I think the overreaction that was last week probably making people feel a little better watching other teams last weekend. How do you feel now about how the Tide stacks up against some of the teams they're going to see when taking into account some of the struggles that were happening elsewhere?
I think it always takes 3 or 4 weeks before you kind of really, as a coaching staff, know exactly what you have and what your identity is going to be for that season. And this will be a good test this week. Wisconsin's probably somewhere in between Florida State and La Monroe, so you're going to get better competition. Wisconsin actually has the ability to throw the ball down the field. La Monroe couldn't throw it, so they were very one-dimensional. So you're going to get a better idea of kind of what you are. But look, every team is kind of in the same boat. They're trying to figure out exactly who they are. It's a long season. They're going to evolve over the course of the year through things that they find that they do better, as well as injuries. How you overcome those? How do you manage them? But the thing is still wide open. I don't think there's any doubt about that, because it's a roller coaster for every single team across the country, and nobody's going to be hitting on all cylinders all year long. You're going to have some down games. So you just got to keep grinding, keep fighting, make sure that you're putting yourself in a position to become some down games. So you just got to keep grinding, keep fighting, make sure that you're putting yourself in a position to be competitive on a weekly basis.
Absolutely. Tyler, great, but TV, radio,